In this video I'll show you how we can create one form and still output into multiple languages. Let's look at this scenario. You want to create an invoice, but you want to address the customer in the language of the customer that receives the invoice. And for this you might consider to create one form or template for each of the languages that you want to output. But instead you can consider to use translation files. Here's an example of a translation table. You see the keys on the left and the translated text here on the right. So this is like the British one, and here's the German one. Inside of our design we have chosen to use a translation instead of a plain text, and here we refer to the file and the key that we want to use, and here we have the language. So the language we can select on each of the text elements, but it's more efficient to select it once in the template component of our design. So here in the template component we can either select a fixed language or, for instance, select an expression, and this expression here selects the language from the input file. So we have here in the input a language code that we pick out with this expression. So it means that the language of our output change depending on the input file. So here we're looking at the result. If we have an American input file, if we change to a German one, the output changed into German, and the same form would also work in Danish. If the language that we find in our input file does not fit the required language selection, then we can actually use another translation table in order to translate the language code that we have found inside of our input file into a standard language.